The fourth issue is, as I have said, Parliament's role at the conclusion of our negotiations with the European Union. Before we turn to the detail, let us take a step back for a moment and consider the long democratic process we've been on to get here. It began with the European Union Referendum Act, passed by a majority of 263 in this House, and at which point the government was clear it would respect the outcome of the referendum, followed by the referendum itself, which saw a turnout of over 33 million people. 17.4 million people voted in favour of leaving the European Union. We then had the European Union Notification of Withdrawal Bill, which empowered the government to trigger Article 50, and despite the attempts of some in the other place to impugn the validity of this notification, that bill also passed both houses, the majority of 372, in this place voting for third reading. This is followed by a general election where both major parties, attracting over 80% of the vote, stood on manifestos which committed to respecting the result of the referendum.
The government suffered a defeat on the floor of the House of Commons last night, by 7 votes, as 20 Conservative MPs defied a 3-line whip to support Yvette Cooper's amendment to the finance bill seeking to prevent the government from implementing the no-deal provisions of Clause 89 of the bill without the explicit consent of Parliament for such an outcome. On the face of it, this might sound alarming, and some media coverage last night certainly felt sensationalist as we heard of a significant defeat and a Brexit crisis. But in reality, Clause 89 of the Finance Bill concerns minor and technical changes to tax law post-Brexit, and the amendment was about anti-no-deal MPs making their presence felt rather than really amending the law of the land. As Brexiteer Tory MP Sir Bernard Jenkin explains, this amendment is only to restrict the use of powers in the finance bill to make minor amendments to certain taxes, not including VAT or customs or excise duties, in consequence of EU withdrawal. The proposers of this amendment are attempting to sabotage other government business, because they know Parliament has already set the Brexit date in law for the 29th of March, with or without a withdrawal agreement, and they cannot change that. All this would require is for the government can use other legislative means to make any necessary tax changes. It is not a big deal. His colleague Jacob Rees-Mogg told me last night that the move was pointless and tokenistic, while Downing Street labelled it as nothing more than an inconvenience. 303 MPs voted for the amendment, 305 if you include the 2 tellers, including 20 Conservative rebels, and the full complement of SNP, Lib Dem, Plaid Cymru and Green MPs, as well as the vast majority of Labour MPs. Meanwhile, 296 MPs voted against the amendment, 298 including 2 tellers, including most Tory MPs, all 11 MPs from Northern Ireland who have taken their seats, 10 DUP and 1 independent, and 3 Labour rebels. Below are full lists of which MPs voted for the amendment, those who did not vote at all, although it is impossible to know whether they deliberately abstained, were away from Westminster on parliamentary business elsewhere, or were ill, etc., and of course